Good morning friends, welcome to Gyan channel. Today we will discuss about web translation. In this we will cover translation of drama, short story, script, film writing, web translation itself, computational linguistics, and impact of machine translation and computer aided translation on the translation studies and translation itself. So let's begin the class. Firstly we will discuss about translation of drama. The translation of drama has been an important subfield in the work of literary translators. For translating a drama, the translator must take into account the performance factor apart from linguistic competence. The translator should be equipped with additional qualifications for the task and be able to meet the differing criteria of the medium. One of these requires the translator to have some sense of theater. Special qualifications also include target language acceptability, speakability, and adaptability. Comic scenes and translation of verbal humor on stage have not figured prominently in translation studies to date. Personal names may be difficult for actors to pronounce with conviction or for audiences to apprehend. Use of expletives is also an area of difficulty. Degree of attention applied to these aspects depends on their prominence in given text, or rather, on the translator's perception of their prominence. A drama script is the written form of a play. It consists of certain elements, theme, characters, and dialogues. In a play, all these elements are inseparable, and it is only for purposes of analysis that we can use these categories. The theme of the play develops through the actions and conversations of the characters. Language of the monologues, dialogues, or conversations of the characters is called theatrical language. This theatrical language has several functions. It develops the action of the plot. It tells us about events that take place off stage, reveals the character's dominance traits. It operates not simply through the spoken word but also by the use of tone of voice, facial expression, or gesture. Now let's discuss about aspects of translating drama. These are the potential audience, cultural symbols, names of characters and places, historical context, translating drama, use of language, and its playability. Now, translation of a short story. A short story is a piece of prose fiction that typically can be read in one sitting and focuses on self contained accident or incident or series of linked incidents with the intent of evoking a single effect or mood. The short story is one of the oldest type of literature and has existed in the form of legends, mythic tales, folk tales, fairy tales, fables, and anecdotes in various ancient communities across the world. The modern short story developed in the early 19th century. Short story is a crafted form of its own right. Short stories make use of plot, resonance, and other dynamic components as in a novel, but typically to a lesser degree. While the short story is largely distinct from the novel or novella, or we can say it short novel, authors generally draw from the common pool of literary techniques. In terms of length, word count is typically anywhere from 1000 to 4000 for short stories. However, some has 15,000 words on a restrict classed as short stories. Stories of fewer than 1000 words are sometimes referred to as short stories or flash fiction. The translator not only faces problems with lexical selection of target language but also with the interpretation of the source language text. The translator must work with the source language text so that the target language version approximates the source language version in terms of meaning, style, and form. Exact translation is impossible due to a series of factors such as different cultures, societies, and linguistic systems, among others. A translator of literary text is concerned with the artistic procedures and the cultural temporal context in which they are inserted. Non equivalence, omission, semantic equivalence, paralysis. Short story is different from novels or drama in terms of length, effect, mood, plot, character. It's not extrapolatory, but literature effect is more. Now let's discuss about translation of script and film writing. Writing a screenplay is very complex. It is very difficult to create a screenplay of sufficient length and quality for the target format. In general, a page of a screenplay represents about 1 minute of screen time. A screenplay or a script used to produce a film or television program represents a lot of challenges for anyone in translation services. This is different from specific challenges of turning dialogue into subtitles, in fact, for several specific reasons. Firstly, the challenge in translation. The dialogue and descriptive text in a screenplay face the same sorts of challenges as in the any text. Localization challenges, slang and idiom challenges, and grammar or vocabulary challenges. While a script may be very difficult to translate due to these factors, their difficulty is similar than one would find in a novel or a story using the same basic language building blocks. Next is stage directions. Screenplays employ a lot of text that never gets seen, such as stage directions and other metadata intended for the film crew. These directions often include specific terms and aren't always easily translated. While many of these terms exist in the target language as well as are used standard in the scripts written in the target language, this also requires the translator to be aware of and fluent in not just the target and source languages but the specific technical jargon employed. Next is different from subtitles. Translating a screenplay, however, doesn't have one of the major limitations of subtitle translation. One doesn't need to worry about the length of sentences because we are not trying to cram a translation into the approximate screen time it takes for the actor to speak the original. Next is rewriting preferred. Most of the time, screenplays are simply rewritten, not translated, in order to avoid any stilted constructions or awkward phrasing in what could be or should be very naturalistic dialogue. But in the rare event of a screenplay translation job, the professional assigned to it has to be prepared for the challenges to come. Now let's discuss about web translation need, scope and its challenges. Web translation is the process of taking the website content in its original language and adapting it, often word to word, into other languages to make it accessible and unusable to global customers. A website translation content ranges from on-site static text to multimedia content such as images, videos, and PDFs. In addition, there is also invisible metadata text and only search engines and social media platforms see dynamically loaded content from applications, user experience notifications such as error messages and confirmation emails. These can and should be translated. To ensure all customers receive a immersive in-language experience, there are different degrees of translation including conventional translation, localization, transliteration, and transcreation. Each approach is unique and ideal for different translation needs. Is website localization the same as website translation? No. Website localization does beyond the linguistic word to word conversation of conventional translation to create an online experience that resonates within specific markets. Localizing a website requires five key elements. Firstly, language and regionalism, then is cultural elements, then is transactional elements, and communication and trust elements, and navigation and discovery. So, how can I translate my website? Translating and localizing our website is fundamentally a technology issue requiring automation and software to manage numerous workflows and processes. In general, there are three different technologies that can be used to handle these workflows. First is proxy based solution, second is CMS connectors, and lastly application programming interfaces. We call them APIs also. What is website translation proxy? With the proxy based approach to website translation, technologies are used to leverage the content and structured code of your flagship website. This makes it easy to translate, deploy, and operate multilingual versions. This approach can be fully turnkey, meaning it requires little or no customer side effort to launch or maintain localized websites or manage workflows. Since localized sites are built from your flagship site's content and code, the user experience and functionality is consistent across all sites. This continuity also ensures that new content is swiftly and automatically detected, translated, and published. Proxy based translation simplifies the translation process and eliminates the complexity and effort that traditionally goes with website translation. How do I use a CMS for website translation? For companies that prefer to store and control translated content internally, it's possible to translate a website with a CMS connector. Translator The connector allows content to be sent to a translation vendor and then upload back to the CMS for publication. While it seems like a workable solution, connectors rarely work as advertised. Connectors are standardized and pre-configured and don't get along with customized CMSs. Modifications required to bridge connectors with content platforms are time and effort intensive. Even with these modifications, connectors are fragile and often break after CMS software or security upgrades. This causes delays to translation workflows. What is Translation API? A translation API is typically provided by a translation provider and has a broader scope than a CMS connector. It gives companies the flexibility to create workflows for any type of content requiring translation, just not just content stored in a CMS. They are often easier to tailor than a CMS connector and are compatible with a range of formats including HTML, XML, and even JSON. Proxy API hybrid solutions combine the flexibility of the API with the ease of the turnkey solutions for a ideal omni-channel translation approach. What makes website translation different from traditional translation? Website translation requires technical nuances that make it challenging for traditional translation agencies to handle. Such nuances include dynamic content code coded in HTML, JavaScript, and JSON, complex ecosystems and of platforms and contributors, lighting fast pace of online business, and user demands for fresh, shareable content and interactivity. Traditional translation solutions can't distinguish code from content, can't handle coordination of multiple workflows across platforms and contributors, can't keep up with constant updates, and struggle to preserve the look, feel, and function of your website. Thankfully, digital first solution can easily handle code, multiple platforms, fast deadlines, and more. So, how do I need to consider when translating my website? Beyond translation technology, there are some other noteworthy challenges to consider about website translation. Follow the links for details and best practices. Website translation is difficult and a traditional agency may not be able to handle it. Your website will change over time and you need a translation solution that adapts with you. To remain irrelevant or relevant, your translation solution needs to move fast. Your translation provider needs to move fast too. External content and third party applications can add risks that make website translation complicated, painful, and costly. Select a digital first solution that eliminates burdens and cost. Brand consistency across languages matters. Top translation vendors can make it simple, painless, and cost effective. Translation advancement and translation. In this we will discuss about machine translations, hybrid machine translation, post editors, real-time updates, repeated sentences, phrases and terminology, plugins, security and false prophets. So firstly let's discuss about machine translations. Machine translation or MT is a service that uses technology to translate a large quantity in a small amount of time. Where a professional human translator will translate 2000 to 3000 words a day, the only limitation of machine translation is the amount of files that can be loaded within a day, achieving instant results. Next is hybrid machine translation. A custom made hybrid machine translation engine utilizes the two main translation systems, statistical and rule based. From there, a translation bank personalized to each client is built so that any repeating phrases, sentences, and terminology in their next project are changed instantaneously. Next is post editors. Machine translations can be used in conjunction with post editors to improve quality and style. A post editor can translate and correct the project, averaging from 4000 to 8000 words a day depending on how big the translation bank currently is. This service has been known to save clients 40 to 70% within a year. Next is real time updates. Earlier machine translation had a drawback that it would only benefit subsequent projects due to updates and upgrades being carried out later. However, newer technology provides instant results to the current translation project. A recent advancement allows for the document to be uploaded as it is translated. This provides instant savings to the clients rather than having to wait for the new MT to be uploaded, speeding and improving the quality of translation. Next is repeated sentences, phrases, and terminology. For repeated sentences, phrases, and terminology, as the translator works with their way through the document secure cloud based servers, the document itself uploads throughout if there are any repetitions. The translator therefore can spend their energy on translating only few content instead of the repeated phrases that all businesses have, allowing client to save more money. Depending on the amount of repetition, a translator's daily productivity has been potentially doubled. This means a quicker turnaround time on your documents, and all this time saved is reflected in the prices. Plugins. Customers find information in their language more important than price. Website translation has never been simpler. By simply attaching the plugins to content management system, then picking which pages one wants translated, the translators then get to work on a mirror version of the site for an additional in-context review. Security. The websites have no admin access and it all relies on clients' approval so that they are completely secure. False prophets. Recently, articles were shared about Google Translate's neural advancement. Although their technology is improving, that must be addressed. It is still entirely useless to accurate translations. For example, it translated Russia to Mordor and ISIS to into Saudi Arabia. Those are only two examples from the thousands that come out of the free tool this year. Although technology will never replace translators, it is improving more and more beneficial to the industry by continuously speeding along the process and allowing translator to focus on wholly new translations. Now let's discuss about computational linguistics. Computational linguistics or CL is the application of computer science to the analysis, synthesis, and comprehension of written and spoken language. Computational linguistics is used in instant machine translation, speech recognition systems, text to speech synthesizers, interactive voice response systems, search engines, text editors, and language instruction materials. The interdisciplinary field of study requires expertise in machine learning, deep learning, artificial intelligence, cognitive computing, and neurosciences. A computational understanding of language provides human beings with insight into thinking and intelligence. Computers that are linguistically competent not only help facilitate human interaction with machines and software, but also make the textual and other resources of the internet readily available in multiple languages. Business goals of computational linguistics include translation text from one language to another, retrieving text that relates to a specific topic, analyzing text or spoken language for context, sentiment, and other effective qualities, answering questions including those that require inferences and descriptive or discursive answers, summarizing text, building dialogue agents capable of computing complex tasks such as making a purchase, planning a trip, or scheduling maintenance, creating chatbots capable of passing the Turing test. Most work in computational linguistics, which has both theoretical and applied elements, is aimed at improving the relationship between computers and basic language. It involves building artifacts that can be used to process and produce languages. Typically, computational linguistics are employed in universities, governmental research labs, or large enterprise. In the private sector, vertical companies like Caterpillar typically employ computational linguistics to authenticate the accurate translation of technical manuals. Tech software companies such as Microsoft typically hire computational linguists to work on natural language processing, helping programmers to create wise user interfaces that will eventually allow humans to communicate with computing devices as if they were another person. Major job opportunities exist in linguistic experts to help developers improve internet search engines, build virtual assistants, and integrate speech recognition with other language processing techniques. Demand is also growing for computational linguistics in the public sector as government grapple with the continuous growth of unstructured data. Although the concept of CL is often associated with AI, CL predates AI development according to the Association of Computational Linguistics. Now let's discuss about impact of machine translation and computer aided translation on translation. Impact on translation. Firstly, larger quantities of translation. Demand for translated content had reached an all-time high. Fortunately, machine translation technology is more available and the quality of its output has greatly improved. This has made it possible for companies to offer translated content in large volumes. Second is quality of translation. Machine translation usually involves post editing work done by humans. This post editing process ensures the content meets the highest quality level desired by the client. Next is faster delivery. Machine translation can be the translators believe deliver work faster and therefore take on more work. It can also make their job easier. The technology gives translators a starting point, an opportunity to improve quality, and the ability to churn out more content quickly. Next is consistency and accuracy. Because certain phrases have already been translated once and checked for accuracy, they will be drawn from the TM and will be identical whatever they are used. Even cross multiple projects and multiple translators. Next is storage and availability. Availability to share Your project requires several translators working at the same time. With a cloud based tool, you will still maintain the or advocate CAT advantages of speed and consistency. Format is no problem. It doesn't matter what format a certain project requires. Low cost. When machines do most of the legwork, naturally the prices of translated content go down. Next is machine learning. Machine learning learns how to translate languages from the information that is given to it. The more content it translates, the smarter the technology gets. Earlier generations of machine translation technology worked like a dictionary and used algorithms to decipher grammar, syntax, and phraseology. Therefore, they still require post editing effort from humans. Next is difficult to spot mistakes. Next is contextual errors. Literature and philosophy. Impact on localization. Impact on security. And better for technical documents. So now let's discuss about impact on translators. Firstly, job security. For translators, the increased use of MT means that they are mastering a new skill that requires a new type of training, post editing work. Fortunately, with post editing needs, the job opportunities are still there, but there needs to be an efficient way to measure post editing efforts that then pay translators accordingly. Upgradation of translation skills and language. There is a need to embrace the overchanging or ever changing modern technology as well as keeping abreast with the changes in source language and target language. Next is access to smaller companies. MT also gives smaller companies access to translation services so they can request work when they didn't have the budget to do so before. This can actually create more jobs for translators. Next is affordable and faster service. The use of machine translation has grown and will continue to grow exponentially. Until recently, engineer and information technology experts spent a great deal of time setting up an empty system. It required a large investment in resources and server space. But now, cloud based and hosted solutions make launching machine translation technology simpler, faster, and more affordable. And last is integration. There is also a trend in integrating machine translation technology with speech recognition services. Say hello to Alexa, Siri, and other popular products. This technology allows a face to face dialogue despite language differences. In future, more machine translation technology integrated with newer speech recognition services as well as within older everyday services like photocopiers and megaphones will come into focus. No one can deny machine translation technology is here to stay and it's quickly evolving in ways we never imagined. From neural machine translation to integrations with speech recognition devices, machine translation is evolving and becoming ingrained in the world and how we communicate. But there are still big questions to answer. We need to embrace the technology, but also spend significant time and resources ensuring it delivers the best quality and ensuring there is still a place for human translators. With this, we come to end of today's class. Hope you learned something new on the translation technology and translation. Thank you. Have a very nice day.